walking around the Borre National Park here in Norway, and believe it or not, these huge mounds that you're seeing are burials, but not just with people. They are burials which include actual Viking ships inside, horses, weapons, and all kinds of stuff buried within these giant mounds here. It was active from like the late 8th century all the way to the early 11th century. There's a number of them here. I think there's at least 7 of these large ones and about 21 smaller ones. So in 1852, construction workers were excavating for road gravel that they needed and dug into one of these mounds, not knowing what they were, and uncovered nails, very old nails, and then some wooden boards, and they dug more, and then they uncovered the remains of a decayed ship. You know, these ships they're not small. Relatively speaking, they're 50 to 65 feet long, 15 to 20 meters long. And once they kept digging around the ship, I believe inside the ship they found an iron cauldron which contained cremated remains of a man and a woman. And then all around that cauldron were grave offerings, the skeletons of a dog and 3 horses, riding equipment, weapons. So who is buried here? Well, these mounds are actually believed to be the final resting place for important Viking leaders or chieftains, warriors, and they have actually excavated horses with them, and many believe that those were the horses of those warriors, and they were basically sacrificed in order to go along in their journey, in those warriors' journey in the afterlife. But other than that, I mean, swords, axes, spears, jewelry, and it's likely that the Vikings believed in an afterlife of the voyage or the journey, and that's why the boat was needed. The people were a lot of times buried inside of that Viking ship, along with their horse and weaponry and pottery, things like that. Some of the mounds were excavated at different times. Not sure why they did that and why they didn't do them all at the same time, but there was dates 1950s, 79, 89, 90, 91. Sounds like they probably got a pretty good grant of money. But they have not all been excavated. A lot of these are original. The graves remain inside, which is so fascinating to think about, because typically we think about, you know, graves when they're in the ground, they're below you, but they're buried eye level in some cases. But because of the significant cultural and historical value, I don't know if they're going to be doing any more excavation. What they're really doing now is ground penetrating radar to see what's down inside. I believe the oldest mounds that they found due to carbon dating date back to about 600. So that's even well before the Viking era. And in 2013, ground penetrating radar discovered the remnants of the foundation. This was like a large hall, or, you know, it's just the foundation, just stone supports and things like that. Now this was built in, I believe, 2013. It's there. I want to say it's a replica because there's a lot of information not known, but it's best interpretation of what a huge mead hall or a feast hall would have looked like here. And this was really like the meeting place for the Vikings. And of course, this is inside that amazing building, the feast hall or mead hall. Absolutely beautiful inside. Look at this fire going. You can almost imagine people eating and drinking and having conversations. This is absolutely incredible. Now, there were a number of those posts, those foundation posts that were found in the ground in various areas. So they have an idea of the size of these buildings and where they were. This building, as large as it is, it's actually even a little smaller than what they think was here originally. And if you're a huge fan of Vikings, you can actually, I believe you can get married here and everything. I mean, they do all kinds of things here. Not much going on today, but it's kind of nice because it's very quiet. No one's really around. So these are all basically just, they're not even really reproductions in a sense, because they don't really know how exactly these things looked. They have an idea of dimensions because of what they unearthed in the ground here. They found stone foundations to the pillars. So this building that they built here actually was quite a bit bigger, probably about 20% larger than the one that's built here. You know, it's interesting reading and talking to these historians. There's actually not that much that's really known about the Vikings. You think there would be because of all the TV shows and the movies and everything that we've ever read. And there's actually, they just don't have a lot of the bits of information. They don't have, you know, they might have, say, ingredients to the things that they ate, but they don't have the recipes. They don't know exactly what they made with those ingredients, that kind of thing. You know, they've found ships and they've found bones and they've found swords and things like that, but you have to kind of put it together. So, you know, I don't want to say that it's a guessing game, but it's, you know, I'm just saying that these aren't exactly replicas. But it is a beautiful building. It almost really looks like an ark in a way. But just like I said in one of those videos of the stave churches that I went to, where the woman was saying that the roof and how they're constructed, they basically used the same design, but they just turned their boats upside down. And they said, well, if the boat floats and holds water, then obviously it would work for a roof. So that's basically the same kind of construction. In fact, the historian that I was just talking to in there said that they believe, and so they built this building to kind of resemble the middle construction of the stave churches, the 4 posts and the very, very tall ceilings and everything. So it's all very similar. It all kind of fits together. So this is inside the Midgard Viking Center. There's some really interesting artifacts, things that they dug up from these mounds. Lots of great information. But really quick, I want to show you some of my favorite items that they have. Check this out. This is a Viking sword. I remember it was in the ground for 1,000 years or so, so it's pretty rusted. And it's pretty common to find these swords bent like that. Many believe that this was done ceremoniously during the burial. Now, the very first archaeological dig took place here just a year or so after those construction workers or the road crew discovered what was inside these mounds. It was about 1852. So it's kind of strange that only then people started digging into these things. Maybe that was thought as taboo, or who knows. And look at this. There's a little plaque that says that this is an iron chain that would have been used for hanging pots. And I believe that these are riding stirrups, or the remains of them, of course. They were also, all this stuff again was found inside these the mounds that were excavated. Making my way down to the water here. This was just a huge Viking port. This is really where they would come in on their boats and set up to trade or whatever it is, do Viking things. So picture 1100, 1200 AD. This would be a big port here with likely wooden docks coming out. And instead of modern ships like that, they were wooden and full of Vikings. Pretty interesting. Who knows what you could find along these rocks in between, down in the dirt, down in the under these rocks. If you dug deep enough, who knows? Coins, weapons. So there you go, the Borre Mounds. Amazing, the story, how they found this place and what they found inside. Just such an interesting window into the history of the Viking Age. Hope you liked it. See you in the next video.